Think Realty, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. It's my privilege and also an honor to be the host of the show today. I'm Eddie Wilson, the founder of Think Realty, and I love jumping on here and talking to people that I know will make a difference in your life, in your business life, and in your real estate investing journey. Before we jump into our content, which is all about building and scaling your business, I want to give a quick shout out to our podcast sponsor, which is Real Property Management. Real Property Management is one of the leaders in the industry for helping you manage your properties properly. And a good property management company will put more money in your pocket than take money out. They should be a partner in the business with you. And I know Real Property Management has a stellar background, and lots of people have used them that I personally know and give them the highest of recommendation. So go check out Real Property Management at realpropertymgt.com. That's realpropertymgt.com, and find out for yourself. And I hope that they can help you so you can go scale and grow and build your real estate portfolio without the encumbrances of cleaning those toilets and managing your tenants. Go to realpropertymgt.com to support our podcast sponsor. Our guest today is a friend of mine. He's a business partner. We work together all the time, and this is Jim Tannehill. Jim, thanks for joining us on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Jim works with me in a business that is called Empire. Empire is an operating system that Jim is one of the leaders of this business that we have to help people grow and scale their business properly. He's also an expert when it comes to personnel through a product that we have called Predictive Index, as well as a coach. He goes into businesses and helps them and guides them in their growth process. So thanks so much for joining us on the show today. It's kind of a strange thing. I've never had you on the podcast before, but pretty cool.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, very good. So if you don't mind, let's jump into just business. Many real estate investors make a massive mistake, and that is they don't treat their real estate business as a business. They treat it as a hobby, right? And I know that you've dealt with a lot of real estate investors over the years. And what are some of the benefits of an operating system, especially for real estate investors?
Yeah, so the benefit of having an operating system is one of the big things we talk about is having a KPI dashboard, a stoplight report. It really lets you know how you perform and gives you actual data to track. Well, how real estate investors treat it as a hobby versus a business is, they get their friends or family kind of involved, and it's hard to hold people accountable that you love. It's a difficult thing, especially when you're trying to portray success. But if you have a stoplight report based off of metrics and performance, it's a lot easier to hold people accountable and allow you to run your business as you should.
Yeah, that's really good. And our good buddy Marcus Lemonis, he always says the phrase "know your numbers," right? Yeah. Know your numbers. If you want to be successful in business, know your numbers. And a lot of real estate investors do not know their numbers, right? And so that stoplight report is an accurate way where they can look at it weekly, right, and manage and govern that business. If you don't mind, talk about the 5 phases of business and help them maybe identify what phase they're in so that we can talk about a starting point and maybe an ending point.
Yeah, so quickly, the 5 phases is startup, perseverance, viability, scale, and succession. And real quick definition, startup is we want to make sure we have a predetermined amount of time, money, and resources allocated for that business. Otherwise, it just remains a hobby and can keep going on and when it might not be a viable business. Perseverance is, we're grinding. We've got proof of concept. We still got some debt. Need to build out some processes, trying to figure out our personnel. Viability should be the goal of every business. Every business should try to get to viability. And that's when you have a safe amount of money in the bank. You got your processes documented, kind of got the right people in place. Scaling is whether it's an exponential growth or true scale is pouring gas on the fire. Hey, we've got a proven system. We're operating correctly, and now we're ready to pour gas on the fire. And succession is when you're ready to exit the business, whether it's selling it, whether it's as into the owner's box or handing it off to the next generation. A lot of different ways you can succession plan. So those are the 5 phases and kind of high level how you can identify where you're at in those phases.
What phase do you typically see most real estate investors at?
Most of them most of them, we find them in the perseverance phase. They've kind of got proof of concept. They've made a little bit of money, whether it's they had a good wholesale or a good flip or something like that, and they're trying to become more efficient and not knowing where to start to become more efficient.
Yeah. And so obviously then you said the goal is to move into viability. So most of them being in perseverance, that's kind of the pre-profit, true profit phase. It's about building those systems and processes then to get them into it, right?
Right.
And I know that one of the big issues that most real estate investors face are people. It's the personnel side.
Yeah.
And I know that that's a big component moving from perseverance into viability. What are some of the tools that you use, or how do you help people when it comes to finding great talent, recruiting good talent, making sure that they interview them correctly? Like, what are some of the tools that you use for personnel?
Yeah, one of the big tools that we use is called predictive index, and what that allows us to do is it allows us to measure what people's drives are. What people have drives, they have needs and behaviors. And if you're not measuring their drives, all you're guessing at what they need and what their behaviors are. And what predictive index allows us to do is it allows us to measure their drives, so then we can give them what they need, and then we can predict what their behavior is, what the production is going to be. And that's a huge tool, because what we find is entrepreneurs and real estate investors, what we do is we hire someone like us to do the job that we don't want to do. Mm-hmm. And that hardly ever works out and causes frustration. And if we don't analyze and look at what people are driven towards, then we can't give them what they need and produce the right behavior. So predictive index is a huge tool that we use to not only to identify, we use it to identify talent, to design the correct job for that talent, and then to inspire them correctly, because depending on what drives them, they're inspired differently.
Right. Yeah, it's so good. And I know that, in my business past, whether it's Think Realty or any of the other businesses that I've had, the right people in my business will make or break my company.
Yeah.
The right employee always helps me take the right action, the right direction. So it's huge. As far as real estate investors, they struggle often to manage cash and cash flow, because it's usually these like big giant events. It's like flipping a house and you got 20 grand or 40 grand, or it's a wholesale deal and you got 10 grand. And then it's kind of like feast or famine. Like, it's like things are great or things are horrible. Are there any tools in Empire or that you use to help them manage their cash flow properly?
Yeah, so there's a couple things that come to mind that we use. One's a cash flow pro forma. What most real estate investors and entrepreneurs do is they're always looking back. They're looking at past performance, and they're not projecting towards the future, or they're not projecting accurately. Mm-hmm. So we use a cash flow pro forma to allow us to see what's projected, what the actuals are, to help us make financial decisions. Another tool that we use is the cash conversion cycle, to truly know how much I spend money today. How long does that take? What's that cycle time take for it to come back into my bank account? And is that the decision that we need to make for today? Mm-hmm. So using those are the two tools that stand out to me. But using those two different tools allows us to manage our capital a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know the cash conversion cycle for sure is so important to real estate investors, because when you're out coaching, I'm sure it's like they're looking at it's like, how many wholesale deals versus flips versus how many can I hold? And that cash conversion cycle, I'm sure, tells the story of like, well, how many more wholesale deals do I need to actually be able to fund my business while I'm waiting for this flip to pay off, or these rentals to begin to perform.
Right.
So that's really good. So Empire, obviously it's a business system. It's created to help them run their business efficiently. What are some of the benefits that you see of real estate investors that jump onto a system versus somebody who just kind of wings it? Do you see big benefit, and what does that look like?
Yeah, there's definitely a huge benefit from having a system versus just kind of winging it. Having a system allows you to replicate yourself, replicate your success, and as you hire, if you are hiring friends and family or people that you can give them the process and the system that have made you successful, and give them those tools. That way they can perform kind of at an acceptable level and grow into that role. When you're just winging it, there's not a roadmap, and when you hire somebody, there's confusion. There's not clear roles and responsibilities and a roadmap for them to find success, and that's what people want. I haven't come across a person that doesn't want to be successful, and if we don't provide that roadmap or that system, they're going to try and find it their own way, and it might be in conflict with how I define success, or how I found it, or I've found it in my experience a lot more efficiently and effectively, and I can teach them that by having a system.
Yeah, very, very good. How can they learn more about the Empire system?
Yeah, there's you can visit our website, empireom.com. There's a lot of information there. It has some videos and that talks about our five pillars and 5 phases. And then if they have more interest, they can reach out to me. My email is jim@empireom.com, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Yeah. Is there still a 5-phase assessment on the website?
Yep.
Okay. That's one thing that I would highly recommend if you're a real estate investor, is to understand what phase of business you're in. And I know that if you go to the website, empireom.com, you can click that. I think it's right up on the top part of it. And take that assessment. It'll help you understand what phase you're in, and naturally start to guide you towards how to get to the next phase.
Right.
And then reach out to Jim. Another thing is you guys are very, very active on social, and so there's a lot of social content out there too, correct?
Yep. Yeah. If you follow us on Instagram, Empire Operating System, we're very active there, and on Facebook, and we love responding to comments and DMs.
Yeah, very, very good. And so to somebody, it's like, I know you've got multiple programs to help them. Could you just kind of, like, generally speaking, go over the opportunities that Empire has if somebody needed some sort of consultation or help?
Yeah, and it's important, kind of like Eddie said, to go to our site, take that assessment, because that allows us to see where you're at and where your gaps are, and how we can create the greatest gain. We have programs for companies that are in startup phase, perseverance, viability, scale, and succession, depending on what your need is. And it's not something to where we're going off of data, right? And that's why that assessment's important, because we want to make sure the data says you're in this phase. Well, then we need to take these steps. So it's geared towards that phase, and to get you out of that as quickly as possible.
Yeah, very, very good. I know we're kind of out of time, but any success stories that you've had? I mean, I know you've coached a lot of people. Is there anybody, and you don't have to give a name or anything, but just a business that maybe you've helped, or you've seen Empire help, or something that they can kind of attach to?
Yeah, so there was a company that I worked with probably about a year or two ago, and they were taking down huge portfolios, 2,000 to 5,000 doors at a time. And by going through Empire, we were doing some process. We were looking at their processes. And by looking at their processes, when they closed on the house, they had to wait 7 days until they could get in and start flipping them. They had 45 days to do it, and it cost them $50 a day. By looking at their processes and going through their system, by implementing Empire, we were able to save them 7 days on 2,000 plus properties, $50 a piece. We were able to save them, hundreds of thousands of dollars just by identifying where that was. But we wouldn't have been able to do it if they were just winging it. But because they had the Empire operating system running in their business, and we're able to identify where that break point was, we're able to adjust it and get them starting construction day one as soon as they closed, versus waiting 7 days and on 2,000 plus doors. That's a big deal. That is
a huge deal, and so important to be efficient if you're moving into viability and scale, for sure. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today. If you would like more information, go to jim@empireom.com or click the link, and you can kind of see what he has to offer. I know that Jim is also a resident expert for Think Realty, and is here to help you build your business. And so a lot of content will be coming up on the website here in the next few days. But anyways, thanks so much for being a part of the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Encourage everyone to go out and reach out to Jim and have a conversation with him. Think Realty Nation, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today. Thank you again to our podcast sponsor, which is Real Property Management. A good property manager will put more money in your pocket. And that is so important, because sometimes as our mindset says, well, if I have to pay a property manager, it's taking more money off the table. The reality of it is them keeping the right tenants in, keeping the problems off your plate, will allow you to go do what's more fun, which is buying more real estate, leveraging that real estate, building a bigger portfolio. And I would like for you to go check them out at Real Property MGT, realpropertymgt.com, and see how they can partner with you to make your real estate journey a lot less painful, for sure. And then also, March 28th and 29th, we are going to the West Coast for the Think Realty Conference and Expo. This will be the first time we're ever in Phoenix, Arizona. We've been listening to you as you have reached out to us and asked us to come to Phoenix, Arizona. There's a large audience out there that's asked for an expo and a conference, and so we're putting one on March 28th and 29th. And I want you to join us out there. It's going to be a great event. As a matter of fact, this is the first time we're actually west of Texas since COVID, so we expect a big turnout, and we want you to be a part of that. And to incentivize you and to say thank you for being a part of the podcast, we are giving you a buy one, get one free sale on the tickets. If you go to thinkrealty.com/Phoenix and use the code PODCAST, 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 and that will give you a buy one, get one free, and you can bring your spouse or bring your friend or bring a business partner, and you can learn all about real estate investing, and we're gonna have a ton of great content out there for you, and we would love to see you there. If you haven't picked up the latest magazine, go pick it up at the shelves of Barnes & Noble, wherever a Barnes & Noble is nearest you, or you can just go to thinkrealty.com and order it to come to your house. We print that magazine every single month just for real estate investors to be a great resource for you. Stay connected with us on social. Let us know what you'd like. Comment on what content you'd like to be exhibited more on the show. And we would love to help you as you continue on your real estate investing journey. Have a great day.